horror movies. Mutilation, decapitation, torture. Does that sound entertaining? More blood than a blood bank. Have we got your attention?
Alright, welcome back to another episode of Video Waste Reviews Movies, and we're just continuing down the Nicolas Cage rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And this time I picked one, and I didn't do a good job. We watched 2019's Primal. This one, Nicolas Cage plays some sort of ex-military person that is a professional hunter that finds rare animals and brings them back and sells them to the highest bidder.
Wow.
He's somewhere in Brazil in the beginning of the movie, and he finds this white jaguar. The white jag.
The white jag.
The jag.
I do like that in the opening title. It said Brazil jungle. It's like, oh, compared to the fucking deserts.
Yeah, yeah.
Brazil known for those fucking deserts.
So he's going to smuggle these animals on this cargo ship with a guy that he's done business for forever. And some sort of government agency shows up with a extremely dangerous killer that they have to transport back. And inevitably the killer gets loose and lets all the animals loose, including the jag. And yeah, so that's the basis of the movie, and let's dig into it.
The movie should have been like half-ass everything. Because that's what, like, I was like, oh, it's going to be like Jumanji, and they're going to be dealing with these, like, tropical animals. That should have been the movie. Fuck the convent. It should have been just, like, you know, we went out and we gathered all these, like, exotic beasts, and now they're loose on this ship.
Well, that's what I thought it was going to be initially. I thought for some reason, I watched the previews to it, and I was like, like I told you when we were talking earlier, like I thought a storm hit the ship, unleashed all the animals, and then that, like the rest of the movie was them dealing with the jack and all these other animals that are, you know, loose on the ship. But that is not the case. There is some sort of killer, murderer, mercenary that gets loose.
Yeah, that would have made sense for the title of Primal instead of like, I don't know, Seas of Danger or whatever. Fucking, like I said, this, when we watched Humanity Bureau, that had more of a clear story than this almost. Where you could see what story they were trying to tell with, you know, the $5 and a ham sandwich, you know. But this was like, they had money, but they didn't know what to kind of like, okay, Nicolas Cage is a hunter. He only does hunting in like 1 nanosecond at the end. They are telling a story that there's animals loose on this boat, and
it's a freight liner.
You know, yeah, we see animals, you know, here and there, but it doesn't seem like a huge problem.
I feel like this is a dual story movie where, yeah, the animals are loose. Yeah, Nicolas Cage is the hunter, but then there's also this other movie of these, you know, mercenaries trying to get this super dangerous criminal mercenary back to where he can be arrested and tried or whatever. So neither one of those stories were strong enough to make this movie because the mercenary movie's been made 1 billion times. And the other movie, it just isn't strong enough.
Yeah.
So they combined them and they crisscrossed throughout the movie, which is fine. I didn't dislike that. I was like, well, at least there's always something going on in the movie.
Yeah. That would be a cool way of doing this. Make 2 different movies, okay? Call one Primal, call one, you know, Seas of Danger or whatever, you know. And both movies are being filmed while they are happening on the ship. So, like, you go to one movie and you see Nicolas Cage just trying to get his animals, dealing with, dangerous animals. And, he's dealing with the monkeys that will rip your skin off if you fuck with its baby. And, the poisonous snakes. And finally, the jaguar. And then you can go see another movie where it deals with the U.S. Armed Forces dealing with, and then you can be like, yeah, I saw both movies.
Side A and B.
Yeah, and like, they kind of cross mingle at some point.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, that was from the other movie. just like, fuck, we're going to get our money's worth.
Just like the 4th season of Arrested Development.
But yeah, it just kind of like, it felt like they had two ideas. One idea wasn't strong enough. The other idea was kind of strong, but they didn't have enough faith in it, and they kind of threw it up. But let's go through our regular and stuff. All right, we know the main character, but what was Nicolas Cage's best part in this movie? Like, what was his, like, standout moment?
There wasn't one.
There wasn't one. The only thing that I would say is I really think that in the beginning when Nicolas Cage is drinking from the flask, I think it's real. And I think he's just drunk the whole time. Because there's like some points where you watch it and it's just like, I feel like he's drunk. I feel like he's pissed that he owes the IRS this much money and he has to be in this film and he's just getting pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be too, but...
Yeah.
So, what about a show stealer? Is there somebody who stood out in this movie?
Just because I like bad CGI sometimes, a la, like, the Scorpion King or whatever, I will point to the really bad CGI at moments where it's just like, Nicolas Cage fights, I was sitting there when he was fighting the jaguar at the beginning, I was like, quick, press A, quickly, press it, like...
Yeah, it is very video game-esque.
Yeah, it looks like, and it's like...
So that bad CGI is your show stealer?
Yeah, bad CGI
Okay.
shit. If I'm going to go all out, I'm going to go all out, And that was another thing. Like, at the beginning of the movie, Nicolas Cage is in a tree to hunt a jaguar. It's like, cats climb trees.
Yeah.
They climb trees pretty well and stuff. I don't think that would be... the best method. My best method would probably be to huddle down on the bottom of a tree where be close to it, so.
Well, when the movie opens, it, pans out from that dead goat or whatever.
Yeah.
And then then it pans up to Nicolas Cage. And I went, the first thing that came to mind, and I like Nicolas Cage, but the first thing that came to mind was like, oh, look, 2 dead bloated animals. Like, immediately. But, all right. So, bad CGI is your standout character in this movie.
Smoking a cigar,
Yeah. Hello. Animals smell. Like, you can't smoke a cigar and then you think an animal's going to come anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Cigars are so rank, they can smell it miles away. Like,
yeah. But we don't have to go through many of ours because there was no cinematography in this. It was flat and classic and dull. The soundtrack was forgettable. There is no memorable line that I can remember other than I gotta feed my animals and stuff. It's been 12 hours. It's like, then don't film you feeding the animals and then the next shot be you yelling about having to feed your animals because it's been 12 hours.
So I'm going to jump back here to the beginning. And my standout character was the bad guy. He was the best part of the whole movie. And Nicolas Cage's attitude towards the mercenaries, he just didn't like them, and he kept calling them names. I felt so bad for like the lead, whatever military enforcement. I felt so bad for him because he was always calling them like shitty names. Every time he talked to him, he was just like, "No, you fucking pumpkin head," or like, he just kept calling him shitty things, and I was like, dude, this guy's self-confidence has got to be going down right now.
Yeah,
he's got to be like, you know what, fuck this, deal with it yourself.
It's not a dig at the character, it's a dig at the actor. Nicolas Cage once more, he's just drunk on set. Yeah. There was another set piece that they tried to set up where like Nicolas Cage worked for a military installation, and he was just a mechanic, and it's like, oh, I'm glad we got that information because it doesn't pay off. It would have been sense if Nicolas Cage would have, it was just like, I was a bounty hunter.
Well, I think that he said he was like, oh, I was just a mechanic, but I think that that was a misdirect. That he actually wasn't just a mechanic or something like that. That might have been his job, but that's not, he was still highly trained or whatever. He was highly trained at getting his ass kicked in this movie, because he got his ass kicked in this movie.
Yeah, and no, when you think of Nicolas Cage says the one line I'm going hunting. That fucking, all he does is fucks with him for a little bit and then just gets his ass kicked. And it's no, I want to see that where he sets up traps on the ship.
Well, he did.
Well, kind of, but they weren't effective.
He set up the one trap that caught the guy.
Yeah, and then
he only needed one trap.
Yeah,
because he's that good. Because he is Primal.
The movie is fucking Primal in the sense that it de-aged and stuff. I don't know. It just I would have liked to seen more, kind of how the end of Apocalypto, where he's using the forest to hunt the soldiers and stuff. Something like that, where it would have taken place, longer, where we see Nicolas Cage actually be.
So you want a Predator type movie within this ship?
The ship, yeah. I think that would have been an interesting story.
I think, that was good. There was one part that I thought was pretty interesting when he initially comes over, when he runs across the bad guy in the animal area, and he's got his gun and his dart gun, and the jaguar starts coming towards him, and he's like, shoot the jag, shoot the jag, shoot the jag, and he still shoots him. I was like, that's pretty cool, because in every other movie he would have had to shoot the jaguar and then the guy would have gotten away. You know what I mean? So he still took the shot that would have inevitably probably killed them, but all three of them at that point, because the little kid was in the room. Yeah. And that little kid, he should have died. That little kid should have died. Because they told him to stay. Yeah, they told him to stay put. He didn't listen. And then he shows up in the room with the bad guy, Nicolas Cage, and the jaguar. And Nicolas Cage trying to make the decision on who to shoot with what. And the little kid's just there going, I'm scared. Yeah. I'm scared. I'm scared.
Thanks for showing up and stuff.
Yeah.
For your day of acting, kid. Yeah. But there's even moments like that. Like I said, Predator on a ship or Jumanji on a ship, where the animal, or both. Where the animals need to feel like they've created a ecosystem there and stuff, feel.
I feel with as bad as the CGI of every single animal in the movie, they didn't want to spend too much time on the animals because it was such bad CGI. You know what I mean? If they would have had a better CGI team or spent more money on it or whatever, then they could have used it more. Yeah. But because it was so basic, that they just were like, all right, well, let's just use them for passing shots, basically.
Yeah, or what you do is you eliminate the idea of a bunch of animals and just, there's a jaguar here. Mm. It is extremely dangerous, extremely territorial, and the bad guy doesn't realize that he's let it loose. So now, instead of Nicolas Cage versus Jaguar and bad guy, it is bad guy and Nicolas Cage after Jaguar. One's going to kill it, the other's going to capture it. And who's going to get to it? Who's going to get to that moment first and stuff? But, the object for Nicolas Cage is to take out the bad guy and capture the Jaguar so he can get paid. But yeah, once more, it's jumble. They literally took the script, they cut it up, and they threw it up in the air, and they go, okay, that's the movie. Another thing I noticed is there's aerial shots of the boat. Mm-hmm. That's a tiny ass boat. There is not a lot of places. That is not like some.
It's a freight liner.
Yeah, but it's not like
it's essentially a cruise ship.
The way that they were shooting it. It made it look like on the inside when they were going through the.
Well, yeah,
it looked like a Navy vessel.
It's tighter quarters, but there's a shit ton of them.
Yeah,
like that kitchen was pretty damn nice, especially to be on a freight liner. Yeah. Like that kitchen, I was like, really.
Yeah, no, the kitchen would have literally looked like this, and they would have eaten their meals wherever, standing, or had like one of those little like corner booths. Yeah. Because you don't need like a cafeteria with 50 people. Probably only like 5 people run that shit.
Yeah.
You know? Just a captain, a co-captain, a couple of engineers, and, you know, a cook. Not necessary for what would have been kind of like a small Navy vessel, you know? Yeah. Nah.
Yeah.
This movie also, like, it's surprising that, like, this is pre-meme Nicolas Cage, where you find
this is on the cusp, because this is 2019.
Yeah, but we don't have any of, like, those moments. I think he did this before he would have done Mandy.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, because there are just no, like...
There's no Nicolas Cage moments.
Yeah, no Nicolas Cage moments in this. Not where you project the idea of Nicolas Cage, but... I don't know. Did you get your money's worth? But I know what fucking the answer to that. Would you recommend?
I knew that I didn't have high expectations. Okay, so but I went into this movie. I rented it. Mm-hmm. On Apple, it's for rent for $3.99 or purchase for $4.99. So I knew right there, with $1 difference between renting it and owning it, that I wasn't in for anything like spectacular. Yeah. Usually there's a fair jump in price if it's worth having. So
no. I did not rent this. I just watched it on Hulu.
Yeah, because you got the special packages. You rented Showtime from Hulu, so that's why you got to watch it for free. But did I get my money's worth? Oddly, yes. I will say I got my money's worth. I think Nicolas Cage is a decent actor. I won't say that he's one of the greats, but I'm entertained by him even when he's not entertaining. Like there was a scene in the movie where there was like water pouring on his head, and I was like, and they cut away from it really quickly, and I was just thinking to myself, like, hit that spray in hair that you used to see advertised in like the 90s to like fill in your hair. I was like, that shit's probably running down his face like right after. Like, I don't know, like even when he's not doing a great job, I'm entertained by making fun of him. So
like this movie is the equivalent of like reading a package of medicine and says may cause genital irritation and you go, yeah, okay, at least I know what I'm getting. So I guess in that you did get your money's worth. Like they're just like, I mean you say that the main villain, you know, was and there's almost parts where it's just like I don't remember much. Like, okay, you know the head director, the guy with the suit and stuff. Like, I literally looked down and all of a sudden he's a bad guy and stuff. I'm like, when the fuck did this happen?
Well, it flips like that in the movie because I saw that. But like towards the end of the movie, you see like Nicolas Cage in between the two of them. And the bad guy, the supposed bad guy, is like, he's NSA, he's trying to kill me because I got dirt on all of them. And that's where I thought the movie was going to take a turn. I expected the movie to go, okay, now Nicolas Cage is going to work with the bad guy against this guy, and he's trying to hunt, you know, the bad guy, whatever. But it was very confusing because he was a bad guy, but he was trying to catch him, but he wasn't trying to actually catch him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they kept running into each other, and he just kept letting him go.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but
The other thing I want to know is literally there is a storeroom in that boat with a jaguar that's just out. How the fuck are they going to get that cat off of that boat?
maybe it was sleepy.
Mm.
Well, okay, maybe it was sleepy. Cause if so in the end scene you see him like shooting the blow darts at him to like tranquilize him. If the cat eats him, then he might get the tranquilizer in him.
Maybe.
And then
I
pass
guess-
out. I don't know. I mean,
I guess it works like pot brownies and stuff, you know.
If you have, yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Do you know anything about poison darts? Do you know anything about tranquilizers? Let us know. If you have tranquilizers in your system and I eat you, will I be tranquilized?
I don't know. Yeah, you know.
There was definitely some plot holes.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's just
But
like,
I didn't-
shut up and enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I didn't go into it trying to poke holes in this
No.
one. I learned my lesson from Humanity Bureau. Like, don't poke holes in it. Just try to enjoy it for what it is. And clearly, I enjoyed it more than you. But
No. Like, okay. There's another question. Okay, was Nicolas Cage underused or overused?
I think he was used the proper amount because,
You think so?
like, there's only two main characters in this movie. It's him and the bad guy.
Yeah.
There's, like, secondary characters that still play a prevalent part, and then there's just a bunch of fucking background actors. But it's him versus the bad guy, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And the Jaguars, it's like a three-way, but not in a fun way. And, like, he was used the appropriate amount. Like he had to share the movie's screen time with the bad guy in order to build that arc.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like now, was he underutilized in the fact that he wasn't freaking out and being Nicolas Cage the whole time? Yeah.
I feel...
I mean, he kind of did it in one scene, but I couldn't remember it because it was so small.
Yeah. Like, I feel that you have Nicolas Cage. You know, you don't want Nicolas Cage to go crazy, but at the same time, you do want to say, we have Nicolas Cage in a movie, let's use him to our advantage. I feel that the beginning of this movie utilized the military team too much. It's like, no, don't rely on them. Use Nicolas Cage and stuff. Where it's like, Nicolas, we need your help.
Well,
or
that's
something
how
like
it
that.
always works. I mean, think about Predator. Like, Arnold is the star of that movie, so the Predator works his way through Billy, Ventura, all those guys, and then it's Predator and Arnold.
Yeah.
It's the same basic idea. He worked his way through the whole special ops team, and then it was him and Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, true.
So, that made sense to me. That's kind of how it played.
Yeah, you could tell the last day of their shooting with the military guys because they got taken out instantly. It was just, I literally, once more, I looked down. They were going down a pair of stairs, and then all of a sudden I looked up and everybody was dead.
Well,
and I was like, what the fuck?
They died over the course of like 30 minutes of the movie, so I don't know how long you were looking down, but they were getting picked off throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I did think it was kind of funny that like the main guy was in the hole with everybody else hiding, and he was like, "All right, guys, let's move out. We're doing shoot to kill now. If you see that guy, you kill him." And that fucking cat too. And Nicolas Cage goes, "If you kill my cat, I'll blow your head off."
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, all right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's $1 million cat. That's $1 million jag, bruh.
Yeah, and then like there's something where Nicolas Cage worked with the love interest, not love interest in the movie, his father, and that kind of just like panned out just to the point where Nicolas Cage is, I'm gonna give it to a rescue. and stuff. It's like, or you could just like maybe set it free and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Well, I understand the rescue thing because he was like they breed them, so like we can get the population back instead of there being fucking 2.
Do you think this movie was rewritten? Where the original idea was just to have a movie about Nicolas Cage hunting this white jaguar, and then they realized that Nicolas Cage isn't going to sit out in the jungle, like just trying to hunt this jaguar. It's like, okay, Nick, we're going to fly you to Bolivia, okay? And you're going to be out there film shooting for 6 months. And Nick's just like, nope, not doing that. And then they're like, what about a ship? Will you be on a ship if we do the ship? And then they just wrote all that stuff.
Nah, I think that's over analyzing. I think that they had all this written out. I feel like whoever made this movie made the movie they wanted to make, but it just wasn't that great.
Yeah, this is a red boxer.
All right, well,
Star?
Yeah. I'll give it 2.
That's where I am. I'll give it a 2. I won't recommend this because it was such a grind to like pay attention. Pay attention, Jerry. Pay attention.
Well, maybe you just didn't have like the focus to watch the movie, because I watched the whole movie all the way through without having trouble to focus it. You just told me you looked down and then 30 minutes later everybody was
30
dead.
seconds. I'm not saying minutes.
Yeah, you're saying seconds, but I know it's minutes.
No,
you
it
got
was
up,
seconds.
you went made some noodles, you went took a shit, you came back, everybody was dead, and you're like, I just looked down.
Yeah.
Like no. I thought that the movie was more. I found the movie more entertaining, but I found it entertaining for other reasons. I found it funny to watch Nicolas Cage try to like choreograph fight scenes and shit like that, and then act like he could overpower this guy with a knife. And there was entertaining things. I would say watch it if you're looking for a shitty Nicolas Cage movie to watch. Like I would never recommend you go watch Humanity Bureau. But I would recommend this. This is at least entertaining enough. You can see the silly in it.
I think the only thing that Humanity Bureau really brought to the table is just like
Nothing.
Incompetence, like incompetentness, just where it's like we got movie, okay, what movie about? This what movie about? And then they filmed it. And whereas this, it did... Yes, it had more of like...
Well, Humanity Bureau, like our green screens look better than those green screens. So
yeah, there was too much and not enough clear idea, with that. But this, it had more going for it.
damn it.
Cut. Humanity Bureau really was lack, but this. Yeah, it did have, like, a better, just all around. At least they made it small,
Well, I think that one of the positives of the movie is the mercenaries being killed. Like, it was believable that bad guy was also a mercenary of some sort. Because he was, like, strategically taking these guys out. He wasn't just, like, stumbling on them and just open firing. He was very precise with his shots. Like, he blew that dude's head off, like, super, like, accurately. He shot one of the other guys, like, down the stairs, so they did things right, but it wasn't enough to overall overcome the bad CGI, the bad everything else.
Yeah. But check it out, I guess.
I'll say check it out. He says don't.